Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, I hope you're all well. So in this video we're going to be looking at a new Synergy module they've created in collaboration with Marshall Amplification. Of course we all know who Marshall are. In case you weren't familiar with Synergy, I'll put links in the description box below, but essentially they're a collective of amp builders. They've come together to create a modular amp ecosystem where you can buy these modules that are housed in different units, whether it be rack units or standalone units or amplifier units, and create your own sort of dream multi-channel amplifier, whether it be a Soldano SLO or a Massaad rectifier with like a Morgan Clean or a Fender Twin or something like that. You can mix them all together and create kind of your own amplifier in a way. In any case, they have collaborated with Marshall Amplification to bring us the JMP module, which of course is a JMP. That amplifier again needs no introduction. It's, you know, it's one of the iconic sort of classic British rock kind of barky, aggressive tones, but sparkly cleans as well, depending on how you dial it in. And the nice thing about the Synergy module is they've been able to sort of take an approach whereby any kind of modifications that were made to an original JMP or, you know, taken to an amp designer to kind of mod it, they've been able to do that kind of thing on the front panel. So they've added switches like bright switches that influence the bright cap, you know, a 60s and a 70s JMP mod on the front so you can go between the two because they're slightly different voicings. But basically it's two channel, both the same. You've got two gains or two volumes if you want to call it that, that control different amounts of gain. And then you've got bass, middle and treble and a master for each channel, along with those two bright switches that are assigned to each volume. And then of course the 60s and 70s switch, which changes the fundamental tone. Just to let you guys know, this is a sponsored video. My good friend Stefan sent me this module to check out and put it on my YouTube channel. In exchange, I've been paid, of course, but I want to let you guys know that. All thoughts and opinions about this product are mine. I'll put them at the end of the video, but it's worth clearing that up with you all. So let's carry on. So I've installed this module into the Syn 20IR amp head, which is Synergy's own amplifier head that allows you to put the modules in. It's valve powered, so we're running it into a Mesa 412. I've got that mic'd up with a Fentone ribbon and a 57. And then in terms of pedals, I've decided to use a bit of delay and reverb in the loop. So I've got the Starlight Echo Station from Universal Audio and the Strymon Big Sky for my reverb. And then in front, I'm just using the Greer Lightspeed Overdrive, because it's one of my favorite overdrives that I thought was fitting with this type of tone. Other than that, we're just gonna mess around and listen to how this thing sounds. So thank you very much for checking this video out. Let's check out the brand new Synergy Marshall JMP module. All right, one of the cool things about the Syn 20IR is I've got a foot switch, which allows me to control the channels on the floor. I've set up one channel in the 60s mod, which is gonna be kind of more of my edge of breakup clean tone, and then I've done the second channel with the 70s mod with more of a high gain tone basically, and that's how we're going to run this thing. One thing to note as well is that when you want to use it for exclusively cleans, it works in the same way an original JMP would, so that you crank the master all the way up and then just dial in the volume to taste to get your kind of clean sound. And that's basically how it works. The higher you turn those volume controls, the more gain you're going to get, and they're kind of nicely being able to blend as if the amp was jumped, but it's all done sort of internally, if you know what I mean. So we can dial in the amount of gain and the style of gain and the texture that we want as we go through. In any case, this is my clean tone that I've dialed in, neck pickup, bit of reverb. That's with the coil split, so it's spanky, it's very spanky. But it's really nice in those in-between tones. Throw on some delay, bit of more reverb. So that was really chimey, super spanky, but I really liked the response that it had. It's worth saying that the bright switches are three-way, so in the middle it's the least amount, and then in the up position I think it's sort of the first stage, and then the down position it's the second stage. And they add a little bit more gain as well. I've got volume 2 rolled right down, and volume 1's giving me more of the kind of chiminess. So if I try change the bright switch to the down position, that's adding like mid and a bit of gain. If I put it back in the up position and then I add the volume 2 down position, that's how you get the real spank. So you can hear how it's starting to bark back, which is really nice. But if we want it to be cleaner, then we just, you know, put that bright switch in a different position and so I'm liking the overall feel and tone. It's reacting in the way I would expect if I was playing a JMP, especially with regards to boosting the master all the way up and dialing the volume in to get our clean tones. Now if I throw on the light speed, so this is without it, and then with, so it really responds to the overdrive, which I like. I can get that kind of barky, jangly sort of gain tone. But that certainly sounds like a Marshall. Which is really nice. And again, if I change up the bright switches to give me a different response, it can react very articulately as well. Articulately. Play something that would kind of promote that articulate side of things. It can be really spanky and it can be really high-end information if you want it to be, but at the same time it really does lend itself to a lot of different playing styles. You can do the percussive, funky stuff, the hammer-on articulate stuff, or the straight-up rock riffs if you want. Now we're going to move on to the second channel, which I've dialed in with more gain on the 70s mod, so it's going to be quite bold and barky. Volume 2 is all the way up. Volume 1 is kind of 3/4, and we've got the bright switch in the up position. So let's have a listen. So it's definitely got the Marshall pizzazz. Sounds awesome. It's loud in the room, but I want it that way, you know. What's the point in having a Marshall JMP kind of vibe amp if you're not going to crank it, you know? Let's put the bright switch on channel 1 in the down position. So now this is both bright switches in their sort of most intense position. It sounds huge. What I'm going to do at the minute, volume 1 is at 2 o'clock and volume 2 is all the way up, so let's change that round. Normally a JMP or that kind of amplifier, when you gun the gain too much, it can go into that kind of fuzzy territory where it really compresses when you dig in, so let's try create that. I mean, it's so much fun to play. It just sounds huge. Back it down to the kind of where we had it. Throw on the light speed. It's great, even with the light speed on. It certainly pulls out some of the low end so you don't have as much, boosts the mids forward, but the whole thing screams. And I think overall the nice thing for me with this is having the two identical channels means that you can kind of mess around with them and like get a clean, a crunch, or an overdrive. Let's quickly try the 60s mod on this. Yeah, it's great. It's really cool. Okay, so that's going to about do it for this video of the Synergy JMP module in collaboration with Marshall AMPS. What do you guys think of the tones? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, I'll link it in the description box. My thoughts and opinions are that it certainly feels Marshall-y. I like the fact that I can achieve chimey cleans, and then I can also go into like thick, saturated, kind of British barky gain territory. And it's really, really nice to play. It feels really good. And it takes pedals well. Not much to complain about on that front. I think this retails for around $399. If you're in the Synergy ecosystem and you want these kind of tones, it's a great feeling module, I would say. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this one. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, I'll link it in the description box. But thank you for watching. Thank you to Stefan and Synergy for sending this module out for me to make a video on. Like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all very soon.